How do I lose the fog?
Do you mean brain fog?
Yes.
Okay.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward together with the Decker team.
So we're going to explore that in a minute. We're excited that for now we've been able to create for you free access to over 587 episodes where we share insider tips, real estate insight, how to build wealth, creating generational legacy. And really the great news is you can get access to them from home, from the office, or on the go anytime you want, even on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
Or on CHRI, you can listen to the podcast. So in this particular segment, we're going to discover what it takes really to create sustainable, consistent mental clarity.
That's lovely. I usually think I do. So the starting of this, how do I lose the brain fog? I usually have pretty good clarity. But I know there are times when I don't, and I know what it is that causes it.
What causes it?
Well, lack of sugar, lack of water. And when I say sugar, it means my liver has run out of the ability to produce sugar because I haven't eaten for long enough, right, or healthy enough. Or water. If I dehydrate, my brain function goes way down.
Right. So those are two quick things you can do for just getting yourself back on track right here, right now. Mm-hmm. If you're feeling it in the moment. So that's not so much the brain fog I'm talking about.
I think you're more talking about that brain fog when you have something that's weighing heavy on your soul, on your brain, whether it be a relationship that's going bad, or you're feeling some depression, that kind of fog.
Yeah, or something that's just bogging you down. Like there's this nagging fog that doesn't really seem to be dissipating, and drinking the water and exercising right and even eating well and eating frequently isn't really getting rid of it. Sometimes we have found that takes a guide. Mm-hmm. Right? Sometimes it's as simple as a doctor's appointment because there's something else wrong that physically needs to be addressed to get the brain working the way it ought to be working.
Could be a medical issue.
Right. Could be a medical issue.
Medical attention.
Right.
For sure.
So let's get that one handled first and foremost. If that's done, what have you done when things just didn't seem to be as clear for you as you wanted them to be, that you just knew there was something?
Yeah, I think it was a clarity thing. Sometimes it's because there's a pivot or a decision that I'm not making that I know I should be making, whether that be to fire somebody or to stop a business or to start a business or whatever the case may be. I may be delaying something that I know I should be doing, and that will create. And so the other thing is physically, I know if I'm not physically fit, it's going to hurt that. So recently, a couple of years ago, I went to a retreat, a 7-day retreat. And it was fascinating because it was a combination of working on myself, brain, and forgiveness.
Surrendering spiritually.
Yeah. And then it also had a lot of physical activity. So we're talking, new things like Zumba and a bunch of different things, right? So I did all those things. And then on top of that, it was pescatarian. So there was some fish and some shrimp the odd time. But most of the time, it was vegetarian food, which meant I'm eating a lot more vegetables and healthy foods because it was a health clinic kind of place, right? Yeah. So I went to that, came back feeling energized, a little more vitality.
And a little more clear.
Yeah.
And so what were some of those core takeaways that you got from exposing yourself to guides that have been on the road before you, doing it in a group setting? So we're doing it in community. We often talk about doing these types of activities in community. It doesn't have to be in isolation. And it's almost like the peer pressure works for you in a good way.
Yeah, well, there was lots of small group work where you shared something. They gave you an outline, and then it got you thinking about maybe where you had some hurt you're holding in, or where you've hurt someone that maybe you need to ask for forgiveness. And then trust exercises were kind of fun, where you put a blindfold on and they walk you through with instruction only through a maze outside and do all kinds of things. Or the great one was you stood up on a tall ledge, and the trust was they blindfold you and you fall backwards into the arms of others. And you need to trust that they're going to catch you. And for a moment, I did not want to fall backwards off that ledge.
So how did that impact your clarity once you got home? Like, I love the experience you had, and I know it was wonderful. And I think what I want to make sure everybody that's listening, or if you're watching on our YouTube channel over at Double Decker Life or at Decker Team, what is it, Ken?
It helps you to trust team members and to seek help from others when you're feeling a little lost. Like, you feel vulnerable when you're blindfolded and taken through a path that you've never walked before. Areas, you have to duck under this and turn around, go sideways through that narrow path, or step over a rock or whatever. And the person's guiding you. You're giving up control.
And that helps with clarity. You're losing some of that
and it helps,
fog.
And it just helps you decide, okay, I'm willing to go get some help.
I don't have to do it all myself. And you don't have to have all the answers. Like, you're not necessarily meant to have every answer. Even the ones for yourself may require someone to come alongside. And then that creates so much more crystal clarity.
Now, I did that retreat because I thought it was a lot easier one than the one you did.
Oh, yeah. Well, we'll maybe share about that on another episode. Okay.
Sure.
But real quick, it was 2 counselors basically for a week. They were with me face to face for 4 hours a day. And then I had another 10, 12 hours of life work every day. They were prayer counselors. They were amazing. The big benefit I got from that is sleep deprivation. No, I did okay. The big benefit I got is I came into agreement with God about things from my childhood. Right? I always thought I didn't want to go there, but what it did was kind of, and I wouldn't say once and for all, but a lot of things I've never revisited because I had enough intensive time looking at some of those hard things that they were able to be forgiven, released, regenerated, and I came into agreement with God, and they're just gone now.
That's amazing.
You've seen that, though.
Yeah. Like your identity of, how beautiful you are. Oh
my goodness. Okay. Yeah, that is for another episode, folks. So that was a long journey, like 50 years plus journey. And it isn't about being the most stunning. It's about being comfortable in my own skin. And that actually gave me more clarity to think about the things I needed to do.
Imagine that.
I know, right?
Yeah. So it's important to know that the biggest room in my house and maybe in your house is the room for improvement. Thanks for the privilege of being alongside of us as we get everyone positioned for generational wealth.
Moving forward with the Decker team. Moving forward.